A very good morning to you. This is Wednesday, October the 29th of 2025. And today here in my old Kentucky home, it's about 53 degrees and raining. The leaves are all over the ground. It really is looking like fall. And I'm as snug as a bug in a rug. I had on a long sleeve shirt this morning and got hot while I worked up a sweat in the kitchen cooking, which I will tell you all about. You know, they can't all be successes. So these people with these cooking shows, I don't think that they have to worry about me competing with them. But who knows? Someday I may just start cooking the most wonderful things that ever was. So just be ready in case I do. And I may have the top cooking show on YouTube. Today, I pray, what do I pray today? That I can find it in my heart to forgive and to let go of anger. Today, I pray that I can find it in my heart to forgive and to let go of anger. Anger can eat you up. I don't think I'm angry at anybody. Well, you know, the other day, on Monday, I was telling you about cooking. That's becoming my life. It seems like it's consuming my life, so I may have to end up doing a cooking show because I'm having to cook so much. On Monday afternoon, we had chicken and dumplings and boiled cabbage. And I even took some of that cabbage and ground it up in my little grinder so it would be real little. Got something in my eye. Cabbage and carrots, salt, a little sugar, and mayonnaise. And it looked really good, really good. Hey, I think some people put vinegar sometime in coleslaw. I ain't gonna do that. This was good, I think. So about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I fixed a little pound of cornbread in the oven. And we had the biggest dinner fit for a king and a queen. And my husband actually liked it. Oh, but you know, I had those 2 chicken thighs I was gonna cook in the air fryer. Success. So this is what I did. If you look at recipes, all these different recipes, it'll say put all this seasoning and stuff. But one of them I saw, it was like all dry ingredients, like parsley and paprika and onion salt and garlic salt and pepper and I don't know what all. And you put it in a plastic bag and you massage that in there and let it set for so long. I ain't gonna do that. So it's what I did, is I put some salt on it and put it in the plastic bag and let it set for a few minutes. And I had 2 chicken thighs. Honey, I put that in that, just slayed it on the tray in there on that air fryer. Turned it on 350. Cooked it like I think it was like 12 minutes. Now you start with the skin side down. I think it told why, but I don't remember. And that grease drips, on the bottom of your air fryer. Then you flip it over and cook it about that much longer. Hey, it was really good. I think I've hit the jackpot. Now, my husband didn't eat one of those. He ate the chicken thigh that was in where I made the dumplings. And I'm sure it was good. It was very tender. The dumplings, I just used flour and a little water, stirred it up, threw them in there, just blobbed them in there with a spoon. We call them drop dumplings. And I'm sure they were good. And we both just ate like pigs. Now, let me tell you the exciting news. I told you the last 2 days has been the fall break for, I guess, a lot of colleges. I don't know how many, but my girl was on fall break. So this elderly couple, well, they're not as elderly as I am, that live in Washington, D.C. Well, they live on the edge of Virginia, I think. They asked my girl and her roommate to come and spend fall break with them. So, you know, my girl ain't gonna turn down a trip for nothing. So we got tickets for them to fly, and they flew. Now, this was the scary part. You know, I did a lot of praying this weekend. Well, I do a lot of praying, but really a little extra. She drove to Louisville from Lexington, which is over an hour, parked at the airport. They flew from Louisville to Atlanta, and then changed planes and went from Atlanta to Washington, D.C., where this couple picked them up. And then another scary part was they flew back yesterday afternoon. Well, their flight was delayed, but they ended up getting into Louisville. It was about 9:30 or 10. And yes, I was trusting, but I was, you know, you just can't help from being a little uneasy. And it being that late, and then they had to go get in their car and drive back to Lexington. I did not shut my eyes until she said they were in the dorm room, which was at 12:30 a.m. this morning. And I did look on 360 this morning, and she did go to her 8 o'clock class, believe it or not. Now, if that had been me, I was talking to my best friend this morning on the phone. I said, if that had been us, what do you think would have happened? She said, we probably would not have gone to class. So I was proud of her to do that. And they had a great time, got to see a lot of things. And I've not really talked to her about the details. But while she was still there, she said, oh, by the way, and started telling me her plans for this weekend coming up. And I said, can we just wait and get you home first before we start talking about the next plans? Were your kids like that? She's got something on the back burner all the time. Anyway, I'm so thankful that she's back within reaching distance. And that it was just so nice for those people to invite them to come out. Because she never had been to Washington, D.C., and I haven't either. And I don't care because I don't want to go. I don't want to go 10 miles from my house. But I used to. I used to just want to I was just like her, wanted to go, go, go. Of course, if I was talking about going, I was talking about going to a girlfriend's house, not out of town, not on an airplane, because that wouldn't have happened. But anyway, just thankful she had some more good memories to add to her little scrapbook of memories. Also, I wanted to tell you that was it yesterday? It might have been Monday afternoon. And it was kind of gloomy and rainy. I mean, I wasn't sad or anything, but it was just kind of a rainy, gloomy day. I got a picture of little Casper. His owner, this young couple that bought him, they have been so good. They send pictures like every 3 or 4 weeks. And it was a picture of the lady on her horse and her husband on Casper. And he just looked, I think he was grinning. He was just happy as pig in slop. And she said that he just loves to ride. Just anytime they want to ride him, he's ready for a ride. And that her husband just loves him. And my heart was overflowing with love. And I wrote her back and I said, you do not know what this means to us. And you do not know what an answered prayer that this was for him to find a good home for people that loved him and appreciate him. And he's doing what he loves to do. And his picture was so cute. But you know what? I bet if he saw me, he wouldn't give me the time of day. Just like Hershey out here. I go see her. She does not even act like she knows me. Now, I could get my feelings hurt, but I don't, because I'm glad she's content. I don't know how happy she is, but I know she's content. But I know he is happy, happy, happy. And that's just wonderful. That just makes me so happy. So now we've got those horses placed. We've got this girl in college. We've got my husband here at home. And Max and me are just happy as we can be. So I hope you're having a good day today. I do want to tell you, in case you didn't read my comments from the other day, I did call Grandma Lois Monday afternoon. I mean, I just kind of got in a flip over her. I thought, hey, now come on, how sick can you be? Surely she could throw up a little short to tell us that she was okay. So I remembered that I had her phone number. But I've got a stack of stuff this deep of cards and just papers I've used to make my YouTube videos. I scrambled through all that. And of course it was at the very end, some of the very last stuff that I looked through, I found it. I just called her. She just answered, and honey, we had the biggest chit chat ever was, and she didn't sound a bit sick. And she said, I said, well, you're going to have to do a short or something because we're all just tore up worrying about you. And she was waiting on a doctor to call. She's not dizzy, but her balance is kind of off. So he was going to give her some kind of exercise to do, and she was waiting for him to call, and James was going to take her to the doctor. But she did put a little short up that afternoon, and I was, honey, she said, well, I hate to because I look awful. I don't have a bow in my hair. Like, who cares? We just want to see your precious face. And she looked beautiful, as always. And I'm so thankful. And we're just going to keep praying for her that she will get stronger and stronger because we need her back on the line. Need her back on the air. Is that what they used to say on the radio? Be on the air. Hey, I've got some more prayer requests. Let's just talk about them while we're talking. Of course, we're going to continue to remember Grandma Lois. And we have some people here in my county that are having some medical problems. A friend, Teresa, is having a knee replacement. I think is tomorrow. Let's remember her. She's younger than I am, but her husband has a lot of health problems, and she's going to need some help getting back on her feet. And let's pray that her husband and another one of my friends are going to be there to help her get back on her feet. So I'm sure she'll have the best of care. Also, a guy named Kevin that works here in our county is having some medical problems and had to spend the night in the hospital last night, and hope that's just something that's not serious. But let's remember him and his family. You know, we always need to remember the families because, man, they suffer maybe not as much as the person in the hospital, but believe me, they suffer. And then there's another little young lady. She's younger than I am. And she's had cancer for a few years and had a lot of treatments. And her name's Holly. I want to remember her. And remember our churches. We all need to remember our churches. I was so excited listening to Patty telling about, was it Patty yesterday I was listening to, going to a church that she really liked. You know, it's so important to go somewhere that you get fed and not go just because duty calls. There's so many churches, and we have no reason not to go because surely we could find one that we like. Also, I want to remember RV Butterfly. That's her channel name. Her husband has been diagnosed with dementia, and probably some of you all know her. I saw her on a live the other night, And that's where I got her name. And so I want to add her to the list. A lot of sick people again. You know, there's always people. Let's remember everybody on our list. And hey, have you done your scripture writing? I'm after those girls at church. I think they're doing it. One of the girls has got, one of the girls that I had given one of the books to write some scripture in, said that her sister, there's 3 sisters, and that one of them is retired, and that every morning she sends the other 2 sisters a verse. So she's going to use that verse to write down in her book. And I said, that's a great idea. Here's mine for today. Listen to this. I just heard somebody saying this a minute ago. Proverbs 1, 5, and 7. A wise man will hear and will increase learning, and a man of understanding shall attain unto wise counsels. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction. So many people don't want to be told what to do they? They might wish they had one of these days. You know what? It is so dark down here in this basement. Now, I know it doesn't look like it's dark to you, but it does to me. I don't know if I can see this upper room. I was going to tell you, you know, one of the verses that I read every morning out of one of those little God's Promises book is this one. And this is not the King James Version. Don't tell my dad because he wouldn't want me reading this, but this is the NIV. Now, see, I don't know, but my dad would only read the King James Version. He thought all the other versions were not right. And excuse me while I get a drink of this cold Diet Coke. I need it. Oh, I've got a little why to tell you in a minute. Okay. Matthew 6:34. I read this verse every morning out of that God's Promise books because I have to remind myself, do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own. Is that not the truth? And the story of this today was this man who had lost his wife. Now, I know that some of you all can relate to this because I know that some of our watchers have lost their husbands. And, you know, not that I can say, oh, I know how you feel or, you know, anything like that because I don't know how you feel. But I got a little taste when my husband was recently in the hospital and in the nursing home. I got a little taste of what that would feel like. And it was such, you know, a piece of you gone, a piece of you missing. No matter what shape he's in, it was still heartbreaking. And this was written by a man, and he was saying, you know, he grieved so much over losing his wife. And he would think, what am I going to do at Christmas? Well, what am I going to do like on her birthday? And you know, what am I going to do about this? And worrying. And this verse came up that we can't worry about tomorrow. We need to live for today. And this morning I was watching my little friend Patty, Life with Patty that colors. And her husband has just recently come home from, I'm not sure this time if he was in rehab or just in the hospital, but he's been in and out a lot lately. And it was so sweet. They like to test like new candies, like at the store. And today she had a Reese's peanut butter with Oreo. And I mean, it's a candy that you can buy, a candy bar that you can buy. And it's so funny because he's in the other room. He's tasting it, she's tasting it, and then they're saying if they like it or not. And you can hear his little voice back there. And it's just so sweet. So I know she's gone through some lonely times too with him gone. But he's back home now. But let's continue to remember him in prayer and her. Hey, let's remember us caregivers. Speaking of caregiving, last night, since I knew my girl was out on an airplane between here and Washington, D.C. or Atlanta, you know, I stayed awake. But let me tell you what I did while I was staying awake. I was watching the World Series, the Dodgers and the Blue Jays, the Toronto, is it Toronto Blue Jays? I kind of like to watch baseball. So while I was watching that with the volume turned down, I was listening to YouTube videos, and I was listening to the Inspirations, the gospel group, the Inspirations, and listening to like an interview that they had with their little bass singer, a little young guy. If you like stuff like that, look up the Inspirations. And then they've got a young guy that sings tenor, and just to hear their testimonies, it was so precious. So anyway, I got in the bed about 12:30, and I thought, well, I can sleep till 7 at least, because my husband usually gets up around 7, something like that. At 5 o'clock, and I'd already been awakened once or twice. I heard a little voice saying, "Are you up?" Because I'm at one end of the house and he's at the other. "Are you up?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm up." I jumped up out of that bed and went back there, and God helped him get out of the bed. Got him in there in his chair, and I said, "I'm going to lay back down." He said, "What about some coffee?" He's kind of spoiled. I said, "Okay." So I went in there and made his coffee and got him a cup of coffee, and I laid back down and didn't get up till 7. But I'm going to take a nap. And then when I got up, I was making the beds up, washed a load of clothes, got in there and decided to make some soup. Well, I also decided to make a condensed milk cake. Have you ever seen those? Well, I have been seeing some on Pinterest, and I thought I can do that. It's simple. I'm not going to say an idiot could do it, but it is simple. And it called for 4 eggs. And I cracked them little eggs in a bowl and beat them with my whisk. I didn't get my mixer out. It said to whisk. I whisked them little 4 eggs, and then it says to pour a can of sweetened condensed milk in with the eggs and mix up. Now, how often do you use a can of sweetened condensed milk? I don't used to. Like if I made some kind of dessert, I might use it, but I never use it. But I knew I had a can, and I opened the can up, and I thought, I'm not going to look at the expiration date on it because it could be 2000. When I opened it, instead of being white, it was caramel colored. But I thought, that's okay. And I tasted it. Of course, I can't taste nothing. But it didn't make me sick, or I didn't throw up or nothing. That could have been a sign that I should have stopped at that point, but of course I didn't. I mixed them eggs and that condensed milk, a teaspoon of vanilla. I think that was all the liquid that went in it. Then you had 2 cups of all-purpose flour, which I sifted, and a half a teaspoon of baking powder. I think that was all that went in it. And I beat it up and poured it in the pan and stuck it in the oven. And I thought, before I go make my video, I will cut a piece of that, and I will sprinkle some confectionery sugar on the top of it, to make it look really snazzy. I thought you would really be impressed. Well, okay, it got done, and I got it out of the oven. And the picture of it on the Pinterest, the cake part of it is just soft, tender looking. Mine didn't look like that. I cut a piece of it. I even put the confectionery sugar on it and got the bowl, and I put it in the bowl to bring down here to the basement to show you. I just couldn't do it. Just could not do it. And I'm telling you this, that I know that is going in the garbage. And I could almost be sad over it, but I'm not going to be. Because for some reason, I'm not too surprised. So I don't know if the condensed milk, does it go bad? Hadn't been opened. It shouldn't go bad. It should last for years and years and years. But I ain't making that cake again, I'll tell you that. Let me tell you about the soup. It's going to be a winner. I know I've not tasted it, and it don't matter. I had some potatoes, the big red potatoes that I had from this summer. I cut them up, put a little onion. Remember my red onion? I'm still working on it. Cut a little red onion up in there and put some water on there and put a lid on that crock that I was telling you about cooking. It's perfect for making soup. I found some hamburger in the freezer and I had some sausage. So I put a little sausage and a little thing of hamburger, browned them, slung it in that bowl of potatoes and stuff. I had some frozen vegetables, which were green beans, peas, and carrots. And then I had some of that okra that I had bought that was frozen. I put some of that in there. I put garlic powder, onion powder, paprika. I have no idea what that is. A little parsley, salt, bouillon. I used beef bouillon. I'm not going to put tomatoes in it. And that's what we're having for lunch, which lunch around here will probably be about 2 or 3 o'clock. But surely it'll be good, won't it? I may fix a little pone of cornbread. I'm not sure. If I can remember, I'll tell you about it. Look here, it's been 26 minutes. Am I done? I think I am about done. Wait, did I read you? How did I get from chicken thighs to don't worry about tomorrow? The prayer says, well, anyway, that guy was worried because his wife had died. What was he going to do? What was he going to do? And this verse came up, don't worry about tomorrow. And it says, we need to be patient, make the best of present circumstances, which is today, and trust God. The prayer is, thank you, Lord, for giving us hope in our darkest moments with your assurance that you know the plan you have for us and that it is good. His plan is always the best. Sometimes we don't understand, do we? Because his ways are higher than our ways. What about Pollyanna? I put up a couple more chapters yesterday. I'm telling you, people, when my husband was in the hospital in the nursing home, I could get my videos done of a morning because I was kind of on my own schedule. But now I can't get anything done till way up in the morning, like right now, which is, I think it's about 10 o'clock. No, it's nearly 12 o'clock. I think my clock is messed up. So I'm later getting my videos up. So yesterday I didn't get to read my Pollyanna till late in the afternoon. It's really getting good. And I went to the library yesterday to see if I could find, I had a couple of books written down. And, we're a small town and our library has got a zillion books, but, I guess when you're looking back on this public domain list, it's limited of what they would have. So I ended up ordering a book off Amazon, and I think we're going to read it next. So we're still going to finish up Pollyanna, and I think it's going to be good. I have a feeling old Aunt Polly might have a change of heart. Surely she will. Hateful thing. Here's just a little joke. Husband, this is the husband. I want you to have this bracelet. It belonged to my grandmother. His wife said, why does it say, do not resuscitate? Some of y'all better watch out for that. Hey, I hope you have a great day, and just let it rain, let it rain, let it rain. And pretty soon the snow is going to be flying, but we'll just stay in our warm houses and just be thankful. Be nice. Be nice to somebody. If you've got any prayer requests, let me know. I will add them onto our book. And every day, remember to just pray for our prayer list. and so many. Just continue the ones that we've been praying for. And I hope to see you on Friday, my girl. She's got a different schedule for this weekend. I think she's going to be here at some odd times, but I hope to see you sometime on Friday, okay? Bye-bye.